Hi there, I'm Square, and let's talk about anime. Today, we are talking about Yashahime episode 16. And if there was an episode that should have been a two-parter, I think this was it. Now, don't get me wrong, I very much enjoyed this episode, but that was part of the problem. The build-up and finally getting to learn Moroha's backstory was fantastic, something I've been wanting for such a long time, but because of that, ending payoff felt a bit rushed and not as impactful as I think it could have been. But before I get more into that, let's do a quick recap. We begin our episode with a confrontation between Moroha and her former master, Yawaragi. Before the battle begins, Moroha shares what happened to her 3 years ago. We then see Moroha at the age of around 11, training under her master. Her master challenges her to take on the Crucible of Kodoku, a massive battle where a mess of demons are locked in a place until the last one stands. That last demon absorbing the demon powers of all of its conquests. Moroha is told to use her brains and creativity and not her rouge, which leaves her feeling disadvantaged. She jumps in, but after attempting an unsuccessful compromise, Moroha then combines her abilities using her demon powers of Blades of Blood and ending with a sacred arrow. With this, she's able to defeat the last demon, but then escapes the crucible quickly so she doesn't absorb those gross demons. Master Yawaragi is then found gambling with the corpse dealer Jubei. Moroha confronts her master and denounces her. Seeming unfazed, Yawaragi then sells Moroha to Jubei, who thinks she can be useful. Then, during a different flashback, we see one of the four perils, Kanton, and how he's been manipulating things from behind the scenes. In spite of this, the fight between former master and pupil doesn't seem to come from a place of anger or hatred, but rather a last lesson from Yawaragi. Moroha needs to stop depending on her rouge. Each time she uses it, she loses more and more of her humanity. The ultimate lesson Yawaragi wanted to teach Moroha was to depend on herself, her own mind, her own abilities, her own creativity. And during this fight, she's able to do so. Moroha is able to perform the Crimson Backlash wave, sending her former master's attack back at her. Yawaragi tries to use this to defeat Kanton, but at the last minute, he uses the powers of the Blue Pearl to escape, leaving Yawaragi to take the full force of the blow. We end the episode with some final words from master to pupil. Yawaragi is glad that she's learned this ability and feels like her former pupil is at a place where she can take care of herself. Moroha opens up to her cousins, saying how she never fit anywhere. She's not a demon, not a human, not even a Hanyo, but at least now she's not alone. And we end on this bittersweet moment as the credits roll. Yashahime has been nailing it lately, and this episode is no exception. This is something a lot of the fans have been wanting since practically day one, Moroha's backstory. Now we finally get to see what she went through, who her master was, and what her debt was from. This debt she'd been hinting at for forever. We also get to learn a lot about her Beniyasha side, and it adds many more complications. I, for one, really like her Beniyasha abilities. It's really neat to see her so powered up and intense looking. It's kind of exciting to know that she has this ace in the hole if things go bad. She's like the trio's secret weapon. But things in reality aren't so simple. Every time she becomes Beniyasha, her heart hardens. She loses her humanity. She becomes more monster than demon. It seems like, as a quarter demon, she's even more vulnerable to this type of corruption. Kagome herself had to seal away Moroha's powers when she was a baby so they wouldn't overtake her. This adds so much more weight to her transformations going forward. Before, she seemed to use the rouge almost haphazardly. Take it in on a whim to just show it off like she didn't understand what she was doing to herself by using it. Or perhaps she was in denial of the fact. But now, after her final confrontation and resolution with her master, I don't think she can avoid this anymore. This makes me so curious as to how she's going to handle this going forward. It sounds like the Beniyasha power may be used as an emotional climax at some point in the future, where Moroha may need to choose between not using it and dying or letting those she cares about die, or using it and losing her humanity entirely. I feel like there's some real foreshadowing happening here. But when it comes to Yawaragi, I feel like what I saw of her I liked, but we didn't see that much of her. And I found myself wanting more from her character. This character that was so important to Moroha's younger years. I wanted to see more flashbacks. Did the master and pupil have good times together? Did they bond? They would have had to, right? Or why else would Moroha care when she died? This is why I said what I did in the beginning, that I feel like this episode should have been a two-parter. We really needed to give this relationship more time for us as viewers to grow attached. I would have loved if we spent an entire episode on Moroha's flashbacks alone. How was Yawaragi chosen as Moroha's master? Did she even want to be? Did they get along in the beginning? Was Yawaragi always so tough on Moroha, never showing emotion or affection? Were there any defining events that led them to care about each other? We got a little of this. A scene where Yawaragi directed Moroha to attack birds of paradise, leading the master to take armor from a shady dealer and ultimately sealing her fate. We also got a scene from their interactions around the Crucible of Kodoku. While these were both great scenes and showed so much of their character and their dynamic and relationship, I found myself wanting more. When Yawaragi died, I wanted to be more sad, but there wasn't enough time for me to build that kind of attachment with her. Overall, I did really like this episode. I just wanted more, but that could just be me being greedy. Now, with a Moroha heavy episode, we kind of have a perfect piece of artwork for this week. A Moroha button. I had the most fun with her expression. I think she's my favorite of the three, which is a huge surprise, I know. Now, after finishing the 3 girls, I'm planning on making 2 more buttons so I have a set of 5. I like the idea of 5 as a complete set. I've actually been working on some other pieces in different anime and 5 just kind of works. So I'm debating in my head who I should choose as numbers 4 and 5. Now, if anyone has any suggestions, feel free to let me know. But for now, I have a couple ideas floating through my head. And I want to let you know I am still streaming on Twitch. I'm getting used to this schedule that I've made for myself, but I've been enjoying this so far. You could find me there as Square Bear Pixels at the times posted here, or if you follow me, you will be alerted to when I'm live. Come hang out. It should be a lot of fun. And with that, I'm going to ask you to do those YouTube things. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever else you can do to support this channel. So thank you so much for all of your support. I look forward to making more videos and I will see you again. Till then, please have an artsy day.